Limits of the Flesh, Chapter 58, Fantasy Fiction by Azazyel. Yeah, you guys can fuck right off. I said dully, seeing the first event I was supposed to take part in. You guys are fucking deviants and I have a grand total of zero interest in taking part in such bullshit, I said flatly, even making Sirzechs and Serafall facepalm at how blunt and rude I was being to our hosts. Sirzechs and Serafall had taken me to the side and had pretty bluntly told us that these games were supposed to determine our value and strength in the Greeks' eyes, but even they couldn't help but look disgusted at the first game brought up. Olive oil and honey-covered nude wrestling is a Greek staple that has lasted for multiple millennia. Are you decrying our culture's sportsmanship? Apollo demanded with a bit of actual anger in his voice. To his question, for a moment my face went blank before I shrugged and spoke. Yup, screw you and that gay-ass game, I said bluntly before continuing. Quit fucking around and announce games like swordsmanship duels, just duels in general, a competition between magical healers. I don't care, but I am not wrestling with another naked dude, no matter what. I said with zero chance of argument or possibility of change in my tone. Apollo actually pouted, but before he could respond a loud voice that was like rolling thunder shook our little podium we were within that overlooked the stadium in which these games were to take place. Enough. If your sexuality isn't sturdy enough to even withstand wrestling, then I will not judge. The first game is void, and the next game, which is to be the first to make the opponent truly submit in any way, will start in 3 minutes. Zeus's voice boomed and I shuddered as the bastard blew out EI, arcs, and my own eardrums, and even Serafall and Sirzechs weren't unaffected as they frowned. I wanna freeze that thunder-farting bastard one of these days. Serafall hissed under her breath as Apollo was glared out of our area by Sirzechs, who sighed as he looked at me with a weak smile. Sorry Jake, but these bastards wanna play dirty. He consoled me by patting me on my shoulder, and I got up with a groan as I would need to fly out to the center of the stadium in a couple of minutes. Recall his words, Sirzechs warned me with a frown. He said to make someone submit. Not defeat them, they need to surrender to you. Sirzechs finished, and I couldn't help but match his frown as I realized how tricky these Greeks were being. Sure, I could mind wipe someone, but forcing someone to do something wasn't exactly in my wheelhouse. So I shrugged and spoke wryly. Well, I guess I will need to give someone a bunch of cancer and make their nerves flare in agony until they surrender. Sirzechs only shook his head with a wry smile, but before he could say anything a series of loud drumming filled the large coliseum that was filled with what looked to be a good 100,000 beings, but I couldn't be sure, as some were much larger than others, being some kind of giant, monster, or maybe god, and took up more space in the spread-out stands. So with the hype machine starting, the people outside started making synchronized, noises while stomping their feet on the floor of the Colosseum to shake it and make my whole body vibrate, but I just rolled my eyes at the high school level attempt to unnerve me. Well, I guess it's my time to shine. We should have brought Serorg Baal as well though, I added on at the end. Making Sirzechs chuckle, he gave me a supporting pat on my shoulder before I flew out into the stadium after EI and Arcuid gave me their hug. As I landed in the middle of the arena, I saw Apollo fly out over the Colosseum's arena on a flying platform that was meant to show him being some kind of announcer, as it had a microphone attached to it, with Apollo instantly getting into the flow of things. Greeks. The devils have come here crying about their borders being visited by our ever-so-hard-working reapers who are just doing their jobs. Now what do we do about whiny bitches who make a stink of things that don't even matter? Apollo roared. And 100,000 voices roared in a tide of volume and bloodlust that crested over my form that was standing alone in the arena. We crushed them. The Greeks roared and Apollo laughed. No, he fucking cackled as once again the stands were filled with deep grunts and stomps to intimidate me as my opponent made their way to the stadium. In this wonderful bout, that will determine the outcome of whether the devils have to give up 3 mithril mines or the Greeks in possibly losing 3 chicken farms, in a bout of simply making the opponent surrender, we have Jake Barris, the newborn devil of the devil faction, as it seems that they truly don't have anyone else in the newer generation to represent them, haha. Apollo laughed, but I just eyed him and I came to a realization. I was going to fucking make him into a waifu, and I was going to lord it over these assholes for a long while. There was no fucking deal about mithril mines. The Greeks were just being assholes. And now, what we all have been waiting for. Apollo said, hyping up the crowd. Jake Barris, being so confident, demanded 2 opponents. He roared, and at that, my mind settled on my prior thoughts about turning him a waifu. Yup, and then I was going to fuck her in the ass for this bullshit. Ladies and gentlemen. Especially the ladies, give it up for the perfect fighting duo of Olympus when they aren't biting each other's head off. Aphrodite and Artemis. Apollo roared, and then the 2 fucking Olympian goddesses teleported in front of me, and I realized I was simply fucked.